obviously I'm going for monkeyfish.
Do I have a choice?
No. I stole it.
Okay. Old pendulous breast herself.
Chase you through a cave. I know you do outside.
And we're going to talk about how wrong you are after this.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Monsters Lounge. I'm Jeni.
And I'm Tressa.
Yeah. Hey, Jessica, guess what?
What?
It's Shark Week.
Oh.
It's Shark Week. Yeah.
Neat.
I know. And it's really great because even if you don't like the Discovery Channel shows that are happening, there are sharks everywhere. Like everybody's writing articles and posting pictures. Well, I'm posting pictures. And then all the other like streaming services are like, look at all this stuff that we got about sharks.
Yep.
I'm real excited about it.
That's very exciting.
Yeah. So I watched a movie the other night called Sharks Up Close.
Oh, I'm sorry,
no,
was it?
No, it was Sharks Up Close. Anyway, so this researcher and filmographer went to go try to find great whites in this area that they kind of scattered away from because of the orcas, the killer whales that were hunting them. Right. Anyway, so they didn't find any, but they did show a lot of footage of a very, very, really cool shark that was a ragged tooth shark, and I feel like we might have a photo of it.
Is it this guy?
It is that guy. Dun, dun, dun. Listen, he looks super terrifying, but they're really not. They grow about 10 feet long, and they're really big. They're very heavy, actually. There's a lot to that shark. But if you look at the teeth, they are pointed inwards, right? And what that does is that is keeping prey in their mouth. So they don't actually eat anything that is bigger than their mouth because their teeth aren't geared for like.
So they don't bite stuff off. They just chomp and swallow.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how that works. So we have nothing to fear from them. Anyway, everybody should watch it because they've got some really good shots of these guys.
Noted.
Yeah, that's my story about sharks today.
Cool.
It's Shark Corner. I don't have a cool intro yet, but we will.
Yeah, you will. I've already got something planned, whether you like it or not. Hey, did you do anything fun over the weekend, Jeni?
Oh, I did, and I did it with you.
That's right.
I know. We went to the Paranormal Rockdown.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic at Broadhead Manor. What a cool place. Yeah.
And so many fun, cool people, new and old friends. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Really, got to see some of the Beacon TV guys, which that's a fantastic service. So everybody look into that. That's what I'm saying. And what else? What else did we do while we were there? Oh, it was just a beautiful event. Really well run.
Yeah, it was. Listen, I had a good time. That's all I'll say. Because if we get into details, I don't need those kind of charges on me right now.
Okay, that's fair. I was wondering where you disappeared to. And where you got all that money. It was weird.
Don't worry about it.
All right. Tressa, are we doing anything this weekend?
Oh my God, so funny you should ask. We're both going to be at the Gettysburg Battle Bash. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think it's Battlefield Bash. Yeah.
I was close.
You were.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun. Everyone's going to be there. Of which, why don't you tell us the list, Jeni? Every single person.
Every single person. I don't know every single person.
Just the people that bought tickets. Starting with...
you got it. And addresses and phone numbers.
Yes, please.
Not a problem.
Cool.
Anyway, the important thing is that we're going to be there.
That's correct. And there's going to be a masquerade ball. And we will be dressed up. And I am very excited for that.
I am very excited about that as well. And it all proceeds benefit the Wounded Warrior Project. So that's a very cool thing as well. So come say hi to us if you are in the area or going to that event.
Yes.
But also, we have a couple of gents waiting in the green room there, and We were on their show a few weeks back, and so we thought we'd have them come on the show because the conversation was great and we loved it.
And we had a lot of fun. So let's have fun here.
Let's do it. So we have D.A. Roberts and Robby Raines. And D.A. Roberts is the best-selling author. He's a cryptozoologist, and he's a former law enforcement officer with over 40 years of cryptid. That's what I'm calling him now. Cryptid research. And then Robby Raines brings about 20 years of expertise in law enforcement, tracking, and search and rescue. And they blend all of that stuff in with how they investigate the, what did I say, cryptid?
Nope, you didn't say that, but
cryptid field. Anyway, let's bring him on so I can stop talking now. Hi guys, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
I managed to mispronounce something, so that's exciting.
Hey, that is exciting. You got the names right, but the one word you love and say all the time you got wrong. That's weird.
Hey, obviously you never listened to the Redneck Reading Association. Me and Robby butchered words all the time.
And what's bad is his words. Most of the time, the words that he wrote.
Well, just because I wrote it, don't mean I can pronounce it. I don't speak Lakota. I just look the word up.
But,
you can read it with your brain, but when it comes out of your mouth, it's weird.
Yeah, what's that word? I don't know. Where you at? On this page. We're the consummate professionals.
Yeah.
It makes me feel better about my consistent mispronunciation of things. It doesn't make me feel better.
That's why we got Doc. He knows all the $20 words, and I just know how to make change out of $20 words.
Nice.
Doc's the eloquent one of the group.
That works. I like that. All right. So you guys have both had a lot of experience in law enforcement. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
And how does that, I would imagine that would kind of impact the way that you guys go about investigations, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably about 95% of how we approach our investigations is with our background.
Nice. Can you kind of explain to me how that would work, especially with you do the tracking and the search and rescue and whatnot, but please.
Well, one of the first things we try to do is debunk the evidence ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We try to look for any possible explanation that could provide what we're seeing. And, as Sherlock Holmes, said, once you eliminate the possible, whatever is left, however improbable, is the solution.
Yep.
I love that so much. We had a guest 2 weeks ago who referenced Holmes as well, and having grown up on it, I love that theory anyway. But do continue, please.
Well, it's just the way we approach, like DA said, we always try to debunk it, but we also approach it from a logical. Okay, you have to start at point A and work your way to point Z. You can't just say, okay, here's point A, and I'm going straight to point Z.
Yeah, I've made the joke a few times, well, a bunch of times on the show, that if we were to, in our careers, had walked up to a house for a well-being check and looked through the window and see a guy dead in a chair from an obvious gunshot wound, but no gun in his hand, and the house was locked from the inside, we couldn't just go, portals. I'd be peeing in a cup the next day.
Yeah.
Or later that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or in the next 5 minutes.
Case solved. Portals.
I'd be like, yeah, why don't you go back and swing by the hospital on your way home? We need you to pee in this cup.
No, I feel fine. It was portals.
It was a portal. That explains it. Case solved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pay no attention to the men with the big white nets chasing after. It's fine.
That's right. I like this jacket, but the sleeves are so long.
Why you want to put it on backwards?
So many buckles. It's weird.
It's so weird and noisy. So, do you guys have, when you started doing this, were you both still working in the law enforcement field?
I
I've been
still
doing this since I was a kid.
Oh, you still are, and you've been doing
Yeah.
it. Okay, so yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm still current. DA he got out what?
About 5 years ago, and my
Years
back
ago.
went out. I started having a lot of back issues.
I am currently starting on year 29.
Oh wow!
All right.
Yeah,
So do
I
you
hadn't
guys?
smartened up yet.
That's too long for any job. Get out of here. Ooh.
Robbie's a glutton for punishment.
Apparently.
No, I'm just too stupid to do anything else. That's what it boils down to.
So do you guys like have a reputation with your coworkers at all of being into this stuff, investigating it? Did people treat you
Well,
like
when
the
I was with my departments, I never brought it up. I just didn't talk about it because the last thing
Okay.
you want is a defense attorney bringing that up while you're on the witness stand.
Yeah.
So I just kept that on the kind of down low. I mean, I didn't make a big deal out of it. I still did it. I just didn't talk about it very much. But I've been a writer since I was a kid as well, and of course all my coworkers all knew about that once I started publishing novels. Because I based some of the characters off a lot of the folks I worked with. So yeah, they knew about that, but they really didn't know about the other aspects because I didn't want it, dredged up and used against me. But now that I'm retired, I don't give a damn. Who knows?
I like that.
And like I said, I'm just too stupid, so I just keep doing it and not.
Well, fortunately for Robbie, his chief's right there with him.
Nice.
Yeah, my chief doesn't really. He's fine. He's fine with the podcast. He's fine with the books. He's fine with all that stuff. I mean, he's always been like, if you're doing something that you enjoy and you're bettering yourself and it's not illegal, then it ain't got a thing in the world to do with your job. Like he said, as long as you're doing your job, I don't
That's
care.
great.
That's amazing.
I like also after you have written your novels, DA, that there were people in the office like, did you read that book? Is Jimmy supposed to be me? He was a real jerk. What was that about? What's his problem? I like that a lot.
There was a guy that used to work at county, and nobody really liked the guy. I'm not going to name any names. I'm not going to tell you what he did. Somebody will figure it out. But nobody really liked this guy. And one day, him, me, and my lieutenant were on the elevator going up to one of the upper floors. And the elevator doors open, and he walks out and heads on his way. And I started to follow him to head where I was going. And my lieutenant puts hits his hand on in the middle of my chest and stops me. And he leans out and looks and goes, "He dies, right?" I'm like, yeah.
Absolutely.
I love that.
I've kind of had the opposite effect of that though, because some of the guys that I work with kind of got mad because I didn't put them in my first book, so I had to write them into the second book.
Well, then you
can't
have to
write literally everybody in though. It's the problem.
And make them real stupid. And then was this good? Are you happy
Yeah,
you're in here now?
Happy now?
Yeah. That's pretty much I did, but especially one of them, because he was just like, "Well, you put so and so in there, but you didn't put me." And I'm like, "Well, he was my partner. Well, we worked on shift together." I said, "Once before you went to the county."
Write your own book, guys.
Yeah. Oh, this is phenomenal. I like all this drama going on. So tell us about an investigation, because I'm always curious as to like how people set up for it. What kind of stuff are you bringing with you? That kind of thing.
Well, the first thing we do before we ever set foot in the area is do just a search of the area, like talk to conservation, things like that. We want to know what's supposed to be there, because people that don't have a whole lot of experience in the woods will freak out and think anything's a Bigfoot if they don't know what the sound is. Like for example, I took some guys up into the Rockies one time, and I went to bed and they had never heard an elk bugle, and they woke me up absolutely flipping out. And I'm like, "You morons, that's an elk. That is not a Bigfoot. That's an elk." Like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "I'm absolutely sure. Shut up and go back to bed."
Well,
that would
everything
100% be me.
Yeah, and everything sounds so magnified too. Like in the still of the night, in the woods, any place outdoors like that, like every little noise is so loud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until you get to a spot where there is no sound. Then you're
We've
like,
had that happen
Creepier,
to us quite a few times when the woods just go dead quiet.
I want nothing to do with that.
Yeah,
It
that's
just
That's
terrifying.
an
absolutely
unnerving
scares me.
moment.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
that's when you know you're onto something. Oh boy, here we go.
So then what happens? What's the next step?
Well, once we've established, what's supposed to be in the area, we get a good map of the area, because we don't necessarily want to rely on technology because it can and will fail you at the worst possible time. So we either download a map to keep on the phone or bring a paper map. So we've got something physical to direct our movements from the ground because we can all land navigate. That's a skill I picked up in the Army, and it just kind of kept it sharp. So don't want to get lost. Technology will fail you. And then from after that, we start with a safety brief. We assemble a group, make sure we've got at least one medic, one dedicated cameraman, people that bring different items for their kits. We have a pretty big list of things that we want to take with us. Of course, we want everybody armed if possible, but that's not always the case. But there's at least some of us who are always armed. And then we safety brief before we go in, before our boots are ever on the ground. We know everybody knows their role, and we have people that aren't going with us that know where we're going and when we're supposed to be back. That way, if we fail to check in, somebody knows where to start looking.
Mm-hmm. So I have a question about like the being armed part. Like I understand that from being out in the woods, being out in the wilderness point of view. But sometimes in some of these, depending on who you talk to, there's sort of this belief that you won't be able to, that somehow Bigfoot can sort of sense if you're armed and will not present if it sees you as any kind of danger. Have you guys had any experience with that whatsoever?
Never had a problem having encounters.
We've always been armed, and we always have encounters. Well, I wouldn't say always, but we've had our fair share of encounters, and we're always armed.
Do you think that's more of like intent? Like, I know this isn't an answer you can actually answer, but like maybe this Bigfoot is like, yeah, they're armed, but that's not because they want to harm me or my people, quote unquote. It's just for safety, and I get that. I can feel their intent there. You think that maybe has something to do with it? I don't know.
One thing we always say is we have zero intention of bringing one in. It is not our goal to go out and shoot one. The only way I will shoot one is in self-defense or defending someone else's life. I have no plans on trying to be the guy that brings one in. So I think part of that attitude, we don't immediately bring guns up every little noise. In fact, we're all pretty cool under fire. And most of us have spent a career, running toward the danger instead of away from it. So we're all pretty cool, and nobody goes for guns at every little stick crack.
Yeah. And that's one reason that we always have a lot of people that ask and say they want to go with us. We have to know we can trust you before, especially if you're going to come armed, because like DA said, that's not our intention. There's plenty of things out there in the woods that'll hurt you and kill you besides the cryptids that you're out there looking for. Like DA always likes to say, the greater North American meth head will kill you quicker than anything else.
Yeah.
And I proved that to some people that I went to a BFRO expedition, and there was a few people there that didn't like the fact that I was armed. And I thought, I said, sorry, I don't go to the mailbox. It's another line I'm stealing from DA. I don't go to the mailbox unarmed. I've been a cop for almost 30 years. I've seen the bad side of people. I know how they are. I don't go anywhere unarmed. I said, not my intention to go in the woods and shoot a Bigfoot, but I'm not going to go, especially out late at night, I'm not going to go without a gun. Well, we go out to do a little investigation, and here comes this truck just driving through real slow, windows down, and I was the only one armed, so I'm kind of over on the side. I've told DA the story. He just laughs because he loves that, everybody was kind of spread out, and I kind of turned back and put my hand on my gun, not where anybody could see it. Truck kind of drove by. Some rednecks, they've been drinking. Hey, what are y'all doing? Nobody said anything. They just drove on by. And I turned around as they drove by, and every single person that was in that group, and a couple of them that were fussing about me being armed, were all standing behind me as that truck went by. And I'm like, and I turned and looked at them. I said, That's the main reason I carry when we're out here.
Yeah.
And they were all like, okay, point taken.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. My dumb, naive self was like, oh yeah, because there's bears and wolves and things. Nope.
Well,
Did not
those are
even think about
dangerous too.
the human factor in that. Yeah.
Yeah, there's plenty out in the woods that'll kill you. Snakes, bears, mountain lions, coyotes, wolves. You know, the greater North American meth head is a concern, but there are plenty of animals out there that can and will kill you or eat you.
Yeah.
Or both.
Yeah. I mean,
Hey, Jeni,
that's
yeah.
you know
Yes,
it'll,
Tressa.
you know it'll kill you if you don't get any of these things soon. I'm so sorry.
Oh, hey, Tressa. Jeni? Oh, I'm just reading my book by international TV sensation, Dave Schrader. I'm reading the book, too. I don't remember the name of it or who wrote it, but yeah. There, I like your shirt. You? I got it on monstersloungepodcast.com. You've got a great shirt, too. Oh, that's so weird. I got it at monstersloungepodcast.com, too. They have really great stuff. A full variety. I know, right? They have everything. Shirts. Tote bags. Clutches. A phone case, I think. It's the best.
We don't want to brag, but we're the best at both ads and segue.
That's like
the asylum.
Oscar-worthy performances
The
right there.
asylum has nothing
I
on YouTube.
know.
The asylum has
Encore.
nothing on YouTube.
If you ever need a commercial,
Listen,
let us know.
top tier. Mm-hmm.
We will be happy to help you out.
All we need is a cell phone and enough money to cover coffee.
Yep.
What would Doc say? It's really nice, Clark. Really nice.
All right. So speaking about things that can kill you in the woods, we're not going to go back to that. We're just going to continue on.
Okay.
Glad
How
we
long
can help
do
you
you-
into their commercial, though, DA, aren't you? I mean,
Segway queen right here. Hello.
Nailed it.
Mhm.
Yes. So how long do you guys usually stay out?
It depends. I mean, we've been some places where we were there only a few minutes, and when we've spent the night in some places, and we're planning multiple day adventures, but the trick is being able to plan around the times we're all together, because Doc's in Colorado, Steve's across town, and Robby's in South Carolina, so having all four of us in one place at the same time is pretty rare.
Yeah. I would imagine so. Okay. So what I was struck by the couple of minutes one. Is there a story behind that where you just like, I don't like this area?
We've gone to some places and it's almost impossible to have any kind of investigation when there are people around. And we've gone to places where people had their kids playing in the water and stuff like, yeah, this is just not for us. We need to, they're remote places, but if there's a creek or a river in Missouri, people are going to swim in it, and especially in the heat of the summer. So we've gone to a few pretty remote places and found people either camping down there or swimming or playing around fishing. Like, no, we can't be making whoops or anything like that with them down here. Even if we okayed it with them, I don't want to draw anything in on them and them have to deal with it once we're gone.
I believe it's pronounced crick. But
no, that would be in South Carolina. What would be pronounced a crick.
oh, okay.
Yeah, and some places in Illinois, by the way.
And
In Missouri,
Nebraska.
I've
Alabama.
just tried to really divest myself of my hillbilly roots, but they do pop through from time to time.
Embrace it. Embrace it.
Yes.
I ain't tried. See? So I did there.
Caught that. Fantastic. All right. How much evidence do you usually come back with?
Again, depends on the place.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got track
Yeah, you're right.
evidence. We've found plenty of track evidence. In fact, we've got a picture of what we believe is a Dogman track. It's a canine track, about 7.5 inches wide.
Yeah.
Oh, that
It's
big.
That's
Yeah,
a
it's
that's a
big.
big canine.
Yeah, that is a very, very large canine. What is your best piece, like, of it? Like, if you had to go through in your little Rolodex in your brain right now, what are some of your top pieces of evidence that you have found?
Probably the dismembered deer we found. We found
Or
numerous deer that have been ripped apart, not like chewed on by a wolf or something, physically ripped apart. No knife wounds, no cuts, skin pulled off like you'd peel off a glove. We found
uh,
6 or 7 that have been
6 or
absolutely destroyed.
7.
DA,
Was
wouldn't
it
our
in
best piece of evidence be the big creature that was walking in the creek towards us when we were down on Blunk
Well,
Road?
yeah, we didn't get to collect that. We just got the hell out of there.
We didn't collect the deer either, but we took
That's
pictures
true.
of
We
them.
did. We were there long enough to get pictures of the deer. Once we
Doc wouldn't
realized
let
that thing was coming, Doc was, Mario Andretti and our ass out of there.
All right, this sounds like two very distinct separate stories. I would like to start
No, actually, it's
with
the same story.
Oh,
it's the same.
It
Same
is.
story, same road.
All
Even
right, let's
better.
go. Bring it on. Bring on the story.
wait, I have a
Jen.
question. What would the purpose be of tearing a deer apart? Did it look like it had meat taken off it, like it was?
Oh yeah, there was a bunch of
Yeah.
meat missing.
Okay. I
But the
didn't know if it was
head-
just
Hate deer.
The head and the
Always
legs
hate
mostly
deer.
just twisted off.
twisted.
Just furious with deer.
so mad. Why do you keep
So
running in front of
mad.
cars?
Stop doing it. Yeah.
This one ran more in front of a snowplow than a car. If it was hit by a vehicle.
Good Lord.
But
Tell the story.
yeah.
Tell the story. Tell the story.
DA, you want to start or you want me to?
Yeah, go ahead.
So this is on Blunk Road, which is out in the butt crack of nowhere of
Out past Galena, Missouri, which
yeah.
if you don't know where Galena is, it's not
a
exactly
reason.
on the beaten path, and it's not exactly civilization as most people understand it.
So the very first time we ever went there, was the first time I ever came down to or went out to Missouri to visit DA. So he's taking me to Joe Bald, places he wrote about in the books, and which was just cool for me because reading the books. This is before I started writing my books, but going and seeing the places that I'd read about in his books, I was just like, man, it's cool. He goes, well, you want to go to Blunk Road? I'm like, yeah. So we're driving down this road, and we're talking. His son Noah's in the back seat, and I'm in the front seat. DA's driving, and he's like,
No, the road out there is like a tunnel. The trees are literally grown over the road.
grow over the road like that. So it's like you're driving through the bat tunnel.
It was already pretty late at night, but we're like driving. It's like driving through a tunnel the whole way down there.
So
Yeah, no
he starts
moonlight
looking
coming
forward, and he's
through.
like, what is that in the middle of the road? I leaned forward and I said, it's a deer head. He said,
In the middle of the road.
I think you're right. I said, yeah, it's a deer head. As we got closer, yeah, sure enough, it was a deer head. So we went around it, went down, pulled up, parked. Of course, we walked back and checked it out because why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, and like he said, it was literally, there was no straight incisions on it at all. I mean, it's all jagged, tongue's missing, eyeballs missing,
Lower jaw was missing.
lower jaw's missing, the horns had been ripped off. Yeah, it was pretty gruesome, and we found more carcasses, I guess. The best. Yeah.
Well,
it was more
twisted pieces.
And so when Doc and I both came back down January, or no, was it January?
January. Yeah.
January. Doc had heard us talking about it. He's like, well, we got to go to Blunk Road. So let's go. So we take off, go back down, and Doc had rented a Grand Cherokee.
A big Jeep Commander.
Yeah, Commander. So we're all in that, DA, me, Doc, and Noah, the usual suspects. And we go down there. Of course, we'd found deer parts again. Well, who saw it first, did you or Doc see it first?
I think Doc said, what the hell's out in the water?
Okay. So I explain.
I think it was Doc that pointed it first.
Explain Blunk Road and what it is and what it.
Blunk Road is a country road. The nearest town is Galena, Missouri, but it goes out all the way and just ends at the James River. Nothing out there. There's a few houses a couple miles back up the road, but other than that, there might be a handful of people that live on that road. Just not a lot of people out there. And when we got out there, not only was it cold, I mean, it was late January, the water was up because it had been raining like the week before. And, the water was way up on where the what's left of the boat ramp is. So we got out and were walking around, and that's when Doc said, "Hey, what's that? What the hell's that out in the water?" Of course, Robby was on his way over there at that point. And we're like, "Hey man, you better get back over here. We don't know what the hell that is." And since the river was up, the current was really strong. Yeah, the current was really strong. And so we light this thing up, and what we see looks like the head and shoulders of it looks like the head and shoulders of a Bigfoot. And it is coming against the current right at us. And this is not a small river. It's pretty far away. It's maybe, 50 yards from us, but it's making its way toward us against the current. And Doc's like, that thing looks pissed off because we see its eye shine come up and look right at us. So I don't know if we interrupted it hunting or if it just didn't want us out there. So we kind of fell back to the truck, and of course we had to drag Robby back, but that's neither here nor there. My son Noah has earned the nickname the official Robby Wrangler, because whenever we go, he's got to keep an eye on Robby or he'll just wander off. But Doc's like, that thing's coming. We need to get the hell out of here because it doesn't look like it's coming for a visit. So we jumped in, and Doc headed up the road, and we went a couple miles up the road and pulled over, and Doc's like, I want to go back and make sure we saw what we saw. We're like, well, we all saw what we saw. He's like, no, I want to go back and make sure that we just weren't looking at a tree limb or something sticking out of the water. And I'm like, tree limbs don't have eye shine. He's like, granted, but let's go back. Maybe it was a raccoon on the tree. I'm like, okay, fine. So we drive back down there, turn and put the headlights on it, and Robby gets out again.
God.
And this time it is much closer to the shore. It has almost made it to the shore.
And I went much closer to where it was at, too.
Yeah, Robby was just walking right over there to the water. And that's where we're like, hey, get back here. Hey, Robby, get your ass back in the truck before we leave you here. So finally he falls back, and this thing is about made it to shore by the time we get Robby wrangled back into the SUV, and then Doc took off. Got us out of there, but that thing was coming right at us. Like 2:00 in the morning, so there was no way to film. I don't have a good enough camera to film at night. But we head out of the road, head out of Blunk Road, and Robby's like, we need to go back down there in the daylight tomorrow just to look around. And I've got a buddy that lives out there, and I called him and had him go down there the next day early in the morning, and just to make sure there wasn't like a rock sticking up out of the water or a tree. And he calls me and he's like, I'm standing right where you guys were at, because I told him it was right next to the old boat ramp. He said, there's nothing in the water out here. There's no trees sticking up, no rocks sticking up. Whatever the hell was out here is long gone.
So my first question is, Robby, what was the plan? What was the
Make
plan
new friends,
for
keep
when
the
you
old.
reached this?
Yeah,
Were you just going
I'm
to
pretty sure Robby was
introduce
fixing to be
yourself?
Little Spoon.
A wise pilot once said, keeping up foreign relations.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't give him the bird, but
So you were just gonna go over, say hey,
Yeah.
see what was happening. If you could get him some Cheetos or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, everyone loves Cheetos.
Mhm.
have a nice sit down, a little powwow.
Yeah.
All right. All
Yeah,
right.
can I borrow a piece of hair off your arm there? Just the normal stuff.
Assuming you didn't get yourself ate.
So
Torn
was
apart
there-
like a deer. What?
Yeah, hey, man, we're both bigger guys, so that's a good marbling. That's
Heavy
Wagyu
marble.
human. USDA choice Wagyu human.
Fair point.
Okay, was it because whenever I'm in a situation that might be questionable and I start to wander towards whatever it is that maybe normal people wouldn't wander towards, I'm not really thinking of a plan. I'm just very excited about seeing whatever it is. Right? Is that kind
The
of
whole
the
intention of
mentality
going
that you
down
have?
there. The whole intention of going down there was just to show it off the dock, because he'd never been down to the end of Blunk Road. We weren't expecting to run into anything, but
Right,
when we
but I
did, we all
mean-
had that coming to Jesus moment.
But I mean, specifically with Robby, and it seems like he's been from having an actual wrangler assigned to him. It seems like perhaps he wanders close to danger on a regular basis outside of his job. So is it just you just get excited, or okay?
I mean, that's just, I don't know. I'm just not wired.
You're just a curious guy.
Robbie and I are kind of
totally fine.
Yeah,
Robbie and I are kind of the same on that. My mother, when I was a child, used to say that I would blunder in where angels feared to tread. And that's kind of been accurate.
In all fairness, I've caught the bad rap as the one that needs the Robby Wrangler and all that stuff. But this son of a gun right here is usually right beside me.
Yeah, we're usually partners in crime.
He gets called out for it. Oh, we're gonna have a Robby Wrangler, but yeah, he's the one that's usually right beside me. Doc's usually screaming at both of us, boys, come back, boys, bring it back.
Listen, we gotta point the finger at somebody. It's got to be you. I mean, come on.
When my follow-up question here is with the deer that were sort of torn apart, did you notice, you did say that there were things missing? Was there a commonality in anything that was missing? Like, does Bigfoot have a favorite cut of meat is really what I'm asking, I think.
Well, we didn't find any entrails, which if it had been a deer hunter or a poacher, we'd have found the gut pile.
Okay.
There were no entrails whatsoever. And
That's
one of the things I've talked to a lot of other researchers, and deer is high on the menu because deer liver is extremely high in some of the nutrients that would be required for an animal that's, one, nocturnal, and two, surviving the winter. But most of the internal organs are very high in different vitamins and minerals, and would be very highly praised. I mean, animals will eat all of those. So
tongues and eyeballs.
Yeah, tongues and eyeballs, also high protein. So basically what we found was the pieces that really didn't have any meat on them, like the lower parts of the leg where there's really not hardly any meat at all. The spines, skulls, but all the squishy bits on the skull had been removed. We found one skull that had the top torn off of it and all the brains were gone.
Oh, wow. Oh, Jiminy.
Yeah.
That's terrifying, but also interesting that they were all missing the same things. I mean, that makes it sound so much, I don't want to say believable, but it sounds like plausible then that these would be prey.
At first, I thought when we saw that the brains were missing, the Native Americans, different tribes have an expression that said the Great Spirit gave every animal enough brains to tan its hide. Brain tanning is how Native Americans have always tanned animal hides. However, in this case, the deer's hide was just a few feet away, and it was laying in a pile. It had not been skinned off. There were no knife marks. It was like something grabbed the hide and peeled it off like a glove.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the wrapper. That's how you get to the good stuff.
Well, that's
how we, if you shoot a squirrel, that's how you gut it and grab a hold of the skin, just peel it off. Now, I can do that with a squirrel. I can't do that with a deer. That would take a monumentous amount of strength. Like chain it to a tree and pull the skin with a truck kind of strength.
Oh my God.
Yeah, a lot of strength to pull that kind of hide off.
Yeah.
That's why most hunters will hang it up and they use a knife to cut, fat and connective tissues and then peel it a little bit at a time.
Right.
But just grabbing one and peeling it off, I couldn't do that. Not even in my prime.
I'm assuming there were no marks like from a knife with the skinny.
Got some teeth marks.
Oh God.
It's all jagged. I mean, you cut something with a knife, usually, even if it's a duller knife, the cut is still going to be fairly straight. You may have a little bit of a variation, but this was like the
bone breaks were all jagged. There were still pieces of like sinew and connective tissue that had been twisted. It's like it grabbed it, broke it, and twisted it off.
So were you guys thinking like large primate? Is that what we're going with?
Definitely something with hands.
Well, tell them about Combs Ferry. That's probably our best piece of evidence.
You know what? Why don't you tell us that right after this message?
Another amazing segue.
Thank you.
For those of you naysayers, I want you to know how much I appreciate how many of you grabbed a hold of my small package after last week's show. It is out and available. You can get both of my books, The Other Side, A Guide to the Paranormal and Ghost Hunting, and my brand new book, Theater of the Mind, Tales from the Darkness. Both books are out. One, of course, kind of a how-to ghost hunt book, and the other story book of strange supernatural occurrences all around the world. You can get your hand on my small package by just ordering it right off of my website. You can go right to paranormal60.com, scroll down on the front page there, or go to the shop and scroll down and you'll see our book bundle. And I was so humbled by the fact of how many men put their hands on my small package at the end of last week's show and bought it. It was great. It made me feel loved and wanted. I'm not going to lie.
Yep.
No,
That is the correct reaction.
Yep. Exactly.
Not gonna go there.
Yep.
First time I thought it was just a slip up. Then I was like, after about the fifth time, I'm like, no, that's
very
what he
intentional.
meant.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us about that story?
in a very rare moment of clarity, I will take the high ground, but it's rare.
Not me.
I tip of the hat to you, sir.
Indeed.
I can't do it.
One of the things we've noticed, especially in my area, but we've also having other people from other areas report this in, is that state parks and Army Corps of Engineers that control a lot of campgrounds are mysteriously shutting a lot of them down, and most of the time without any explanation. There are several here in Missouri that have been shut down for decades, but they just shut another one down just this month, and no explanation. And these are all primitive campsites. What's that?
Remember what we just talked about the other day? While I was in Columbia at the academy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There was a dog attack. I was at the academy 2 weeks ago, DA?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago for a guest instructor going down and teaching the khakis, which is what we call the basic students. And I didn't know about it until after I got back. But in the academy actually butts up to this property. It's a state park. There was a dog attack, and it says somebody was how'd it word, DA? He was hospitalized, but there were non-life-threatening injuries, I think is how they put it. They shut the park down for a dog attack.
Like 8 days.
Yeah, 8 days.
Dog attack.
Yeah,
that doesn't happen on every street. Like
that. I mean, this. Not to mention, it butts up to the South Carolina Criminal Justice Academy. What do you got to shut the park down for? Just turn the khakis loose and say, "All right, you pass if you get it."
Yeah.
Right. You've got a whole a bunch of people that can take care of it. Why are you shutting down? That's weird.
That's very strange.
That don't happen. But it goes along with what we've been seeing all over the place.
Yeah.
But Combs Ferry is one that's been shut down for probably 35 years. I can find nothing to indicate why. I first heard about it from a buddy of mine who's a deputy in that county. And he's like, hey, you need to check this place out. He says, it's bulldozed off. You can't even get in there with a vehicle. I'm intrigued. I'm like, why the hell would they bulldoze it off? He's like, they clearly do not want anybody in there. And this is an area on Table Rock Lake in Missouri where camping's at a premium. And in the summer months, you're on a waiting list to get to a good campsite. And this was a perfectly serviceable campground. They shut down. It even had its own marina. No explanation on why they shut it down. Joe Bald is another one that they shut down, but yeah, that one you can still drive into.
Rumors? Are there at least like a little bit of a theory?
Yeah. Like
with Joe Bald, when we first started digging into why it was closed, we found at least 8 disappearances associated with the park. But then when we went back to try to compile those for a book, they were gone. They'd been scrubbed from the internet. Couldn't find a single reference to any of the disappearances. But with Combs Ferry, we couldn't find anything. And I'd been wanting to get into Combs Ferry for a long time, but like I said, it's bulldozed off. You can't get in there. So I started looking around and trying to put a group together and go in by boat. And last year in July, about a year ago, actually, Robby was in town and my buddy Wyatt, and my buddy Wyatt and Richard that live down in Harrison, Arkansas.
Wyatt's in the chat.
Yeah, Wyatt's in the chat. Richard had the boat, and him and Wyatt were like, "Hey, we'd love to help you guys get in there. Just get your group together." So two of my retired lieutenants from my old sheriff's department. One's a combat veteran, the other was just career law enforcement. My buddy Steve, who's one of our co-hosts, who's a registered nurse. My son Noah, who's grown up around me. He's not been in the military, but he's he goes to the range with me. I've taught him how to firearm safety since he was little. So it's not like he's unequipped for the situation. But we take 7 armed guys, and our plan the trip into Combs Ferry. Richard's going to ferry us over by the boat. It was a bass boat, so we had to go in small groups. Combs Ferry is a peninsula, sticks out into the lake with a channel around it that runs about 270, 280 feet deep. So it's a very deep lake, and it's not far from the dam on Table Rock Lake. But Richard takes the first 3 of us over. Me, Robby, and Noah were the first 3 to go in, and it'd been raining like hell last year, so the lake was really up. So ordinarily there would be like a gravel beach where you could put ashore, but the lake was so far up, we actually put in the grass, which the grass is all overgrown and unkept. So we pulled right up. Me, Robby, and Noah got out. Richard backs out, heads across the lake to go get the next group. As soon as the boat is backed away, we start hearing like twigs snapping, and Noah gets out the parabolic mic and is listening. He could hear something like breathing heavily and moving through the trees. We were getting little rocks tossed at us. So the 3 of us are sitting there in the dark, kind of with our hands on our weapons. We all had pistols, and just kind of sitting there, trying to see if it's going to come in, but it never got real close. Pretty soon, it took about 20 minutes for the boat to come back with the next group. And I don't remember who came in second. I think it was Steve and Wyatt came in second.
Yeah, that's when Steve messed his knee up.
Yeah, we didn't know at the time, but when Steve jumped off the boat onto the shore, he actually broke one of the bones in his lower leg. He didn't know it at the time. It didn't really start hurting him for a couple hours. Didn't like snap it clean, but he stress fractured it.
Yeah.
But so we hit the ground. Richard goes back, gets the next 2, and activity backed off once we had 5 people on the ground as opposed to 3. And then Richard comes back with the last group, which were my old 2 lieutenants, and they both got out. And again, we're all armed. First thing we do is when we hit the ground is we just still have strong signal because it's pretty close to Kimberling City. Close to Branson too. So we've still got cell phone signal. First thing we do was get the GPS out and ping our position. Whereas Richard backs off, gave him a radio. I had a radio, which all of us had radios. And I tell Richard, just go out there and act like you're fishing in case anybody shows up wanting to know what the hell's going on. We're going to go all the way down to the tip of the peninsula, all the way back up the other side, then make our way back down to this exact spot. So once we've done a full sweep, we'll have you come in and start taking us out. And Richard's like, no problem, I'll just fish until you need me. So he backs out, leaving 7 of us on the ground, which is a good thing we did it that way instead of having, parking the boat there and having Richard come with us, but we'll get to that. Once everybody's on the ground, we kind of move everybody around, make sure everybody's got their med kits and knows where all their extra ammo is. We get set a marching order, and we start moving in from the edge of the water toward where the old campsites should be. And the first thing we notice is, one about Joe Bald, the old campground, one of the other old campgrounds, is it looks like you could go in there with a grounds crew and clean up all the overgrown brush and everything and go back to camping there. Most of the campsites are still intact. They're old concrete campground, old concrete picnic tables and parking spots for campers and stuff. It's still intact. It was an old primitive campground with no electricity or running water, so the sites are still kind of there. Combs Ferry, on the other hand, total opposite. Combs Ferry looks like somebody detonated a large bomb. Like sub-tactical nuke. Like everything is destroyed. All of the campsites are split apart, destroyed, busted. There are boulders bigger than I can reach around in the middle of what's left of the old road through there. The old road's busted and torn apart. Trees are uprooted. Some are bent way over. There's all kinds of debris pushed onto the trails. You could not get a vehicle through there if you wanted to. So we're like checking it out. I'm like, holy crap, this is like night and day compared to Joe Bald. Because we'd been to Joe Bald several times before that because you can drive into it. So we find that what's left of the old main trail through the campground, and we kind of use that as our goal, as our guide to move through and on down to the end of the peninsula. And as we get closer to the end of the peninsula, I see what Robby has taught me is called a track trap. It's a big like spot of just clear dirt that has recently been wet, but is now kind of dried out. And that's a great place to find tracks. And that's when I stopped everybody and called Robby up. I'm like, hey man, we're gonna trap up here. Come tell us what you see. And I'll let Robby tell you that part because he was the one that did it.
So like DA said, track trap, and it can be snow, it can be loose sand, it can be like what he described there, wet mud. So look, and it was, I can't remember if the moon was out, but it was fairly dark. I mean, I don't think we could see much.
It was hot as hell though.
Yeah. So
every time you turn on your headlamp, you'd get a cloud of bugs all over you.
Yeah.
I must have swallowed a pound of bugs that little expedition.
So we found a couple of spots that looked like they could be tracks. And then where the water was standing the deepest, we actually found 15 and a half inch.
Between 15 and 16. We couldn't really accurately measure it because it was underwater.
Yeah. So pretty good size track. And you want me to continue on around since we found the other thing right after that?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So we looked at that for a little bit. DA says, all right, well, let's go on. Let's keep on moving.
We took a lot of pictures just, to document it with things in it for size reference and stuff like that.
It was under that much water, so there's no way you're going to cast that. So
this was just our initial sweep. We weren't planning on going in with all kinds of equipment and recording devices and cameras. This was just for us to do a recon of the area to see if it was even worth an extended expedition.
Was it? I'm just kidding.
Oh yeah.
So we keep on working our way around, and people were kind of shuffling between the middle of the group and the back of the group or whatever. I was pretty much staying towards the back. Noah had been back there with me before, but he wanted to go up and check on DA and Steve, so he moved on up. Well, Wyatt moved back with me, and we were in the back of the group, and everybody's pretty much walking without their headlamps on. Some people might have had a red light on here or there just to kind of make sure they weren't stepping on a snake or something like that. But Wyatt and I were just at the back of the group, just kind of talking real low and just looking around. Well, Wyatt was on my left, and he said something, and I looked at him so I could hear him a little bit better. And I'm listening to him, and he's kind of walking. I stop and I catch something, just a shape. I don't know what it was, but I just caught a shape in the tree, and it wasn't. I knew it wasn't limbs, it wasn't leaves, it wasn't anything like that. I'm like, hold up a second, Wyatt. And he turned back around and he said, what? And I said, shield your eyes. And I cut my headlamp on. And before I start with this tree, what I'm about to tell you was about that big around. Okay. Not a huge tree. When I cut my light on, there is a deer hide hung up on this tree. And I say hung up because there's a limb
part of the front leg.
Yeah, there's a limb on this side and there's a limb on the front side. So it's articulately hung around about 6.5 to 7 feet off the ground, wrapped over these limbs.
The blood is still wet.
Yeah, it was
no.
in July, and it was set. No. It was probably 84 to 90 degrees.
Oh, it was hot as hell. It was, Missouri in July. It was humid and hot.
The blood on the tree was still red. The blood on the ground was still red, and
and there was a big chunk of skin attached. If it'd been somebody had cut it off, it would have been cut off because the leg was actually broken off, front leg at that first knee joint. That's where it was broken off, but you could see it had been twisted. You could see sinew sticking out, and then there was a big strip of hide still attached to it, where it had been basically twisted and yanked off.
Oh my Lord.
So you just
So you
guys
ran,
passed.
right?
Yeah,
Well,
you
no.
guys-
So you
At
just-
that point, we
No, I
weren't
walked up to
sure.
it and looked around the tree. I didn't run up to it.
Yeah, we took a bunch of
that could
pictures
be
of it.
anybody.
Yeah, I could have.
Yeah, well, if
messed evidence up if I'd have ran up there and not watched. But
well, this is one of those incidents where we approached it from an evidence standpoint. First thing we discuss is what could have done this. Bear can climb trees, but that tree's too small for a bear. I mean, now if I had leaned on that tree, it probably would have pushed it over. It's not a very big tree. Mountain lions will take deer carcasses up a tree. Again, not big enough to support a 180-pound cat. And the branches that it was woven through were like, the size of a penny. They were not big branches.
Woven.
So they probably couldn't have even supported a raccoon, let alone a mountain lion or a bobcat. So this was put up there, we believed, deliberately for us to find.
Oh,
Wow. Like
God.
are you thinking like warning? Like
territorial.
Well,
warning.
you should
That's
probably
kind of what we were thinking. It was a
skedaddle.
territorial warning.
But don't worry, we're about to blow that doubt all
Yeah.
out of the water if you got any of that.
Yeah.
Because
So
we're looking at that. We're fairly impressed with that. I'm not going to go into what Steve said because you gave us the warning at the end of the show or at the beginning of the show.
yeah, there was some vulgarities issued
Oh.
by certain members of the party.
I cannot repeat on your show what Steve said. If y'all come back on our show, I'll be glad to repeat it.
I appreciate it.
But out of respect for y'all, I won't repeat Steve because
I appreciate it.
he almost hurt my feelings because he was directing those to me
Oh crap!
because I was
Steve had a paradigm shifting moment. Steve was
Yeah.
one of those ones that was kind of skeptical about cryptids. He wanted to believe in them, but he never had an experience. After seeing that at that particular moment, I'm pretty sure between the movement in the trees around us, small rocks still being thrown, hearing grunts, and Noah picking up on the parabolic mic what he described as gibberish. It sounded like somebody talking, but it wasn't a language he understood. After all of that, at that point, Steve was off the fence. He's no longer a skeptic. And if Steve could have sprouted wings and flown back to the car, he would have at that particular moment. He was done. He was ready to go.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
he was,
All right, but the story continues. What is
Oh yeah, it just gets better.
So we're looking at that. It's great. It's good evidence. We're taking all kinds of pictures and everything. DA's like, all right, let's go see what else we can find. So this is on the left side of the path. We continue up about 5-6 yards.
Yeah, we didn't make it just hardly a minute or two. And
the
on
other-
the opposite side, in a tree, in a sapling that's about as big around as a quarter, stuck in a V in the sapling, is the front half of a trout that has been ripped off, not cut off. It's jagged. You can see where it's been grabbed and basically just twisted apart, and the whole head is stuck in this tree. We referred to it as the Missouri tree trout, but it is literally at head level on the opposite side of the trail, right across from the other one. So at this point, we're like, okay, this is clearly a territorial marking. They are not happy that we're here. And as soon as we passed that point, the activity ramped up. We started getting more crap thrown at us. We're actually hearing grunts and stuff like that. And it was shortly after we passed that point when Steve's like, hey guys, my leg is really starting to hurt. And he was like, I did something to my knee. We're like, all right, man. So we put Steve in the middle. Last thing we want is one of the wounded guys out on the flanks, and we kind of put everybody around him. Yeah, especially he's the guy, the medic on the team. So we put him in the middle, and everybody surrounded him. And I got with Estrella, one of my old lieutenants, and I said, hey man, pull up the GPS. We got to figure out a way to get Steve out of here. And I asked Steve, I'm like, do you think you can, because we were pretty far in. We were already a couple hours into the hike. And I asked Steve, I'm like, do you think you can make it all the way around back to where we're planning on picking up on the boat? And he's like, I don't know, man. I don't think I can make it that far because we still had probably a couple miles to go.
Oh,
and so I go get with Estrella. I'm like, all right, you got to find us an exit point. So we pull up the map of the area and we start looking at it. And he goes, this looks like looks like a boat ramp up here. And I'm like, yeah, we zoomed in on it. And I'm like, yeah, that looks like what's left of an old boat ramp. Yeah, so I get on the radio. I'm like, hey, Richard, do you know where the boat ramp is on the opposite side of the peninsula? He said, yeah, but it's going to take me a little while to get there. It's all the way around and into the other cove. I said, well, head for it, but don't come in. We're getting a lot of activity. Stay offshore in the deep water until you see us on the boat ramp. And he said, no problem. So Richard gets on his way. Well, we know it's going to be 20, 25 minutes where he can make it all the way around to get over there. So we continue on, and we find a lot of areas where they've debris is piled up to prevent anybody from getting in or out easily. So we had to help Steve over some piles of like boulders and stuff. And then we make it over to this area where it used to be a parking lot, but it's all just tore up. I mean, it hasn't been paved in 40 years probably. I mean, it is destroyed. And what's left of the old concrete boat ramp. But the lake is so far up that it is like way up on the concrete. So instead of there being like the rocky beach that would normally be there, it's like the water's right up to the trees, and there's this little slab of concrete between stands of trees. So we get Steve over there. Richard sees us. I flash the light at him. Richard comes in. And at this point, we're hearing a lot more activity because we passed that point. We're getting more rocks thrown at us. We're seeing shadows moving between trees. We're hearing grunts. Noah's picking up all kinds of gibberish on the parabolic mic, but we didn't have a way to record it at the time. We do now, so when we go back, we can record it. But the 7 of us get over here to this boat ramp and call Richard in. Richard pulls up onto the boat ramp. The first thing we do is get Steve, and one of my lieutenants goes with him. In case Steve goes down, it's one of the guys I know can pick him up and carry him. And so, again, we get 2 of them on the boat. Richard backs out. Now it's much farther for him to go back to where we initially, where the cars were parked, where we had initially launched the boat. Right. He's like, I'll probably be back in 30, 35 minutes. I'm like, okay. He takes off. Now there's 5 of us on the ground, and the movement around us has gotten closer. I mean, you can hear it. It's me, Estrella, Wyatt, Robby, and Noah still on the ground. And when we first brought the group in, me, Noah, and Robby came in one group, and that almost swamped the boat. I mean, we were way too much weight, so we're down to hauling 2 people at a time, and we've got an odd number of people. So, boat finally makes it back. He's gone probably 45 minutes before he makes it back. Put Wyatt and Estrella on the boat, and they head out. Now there's 3 of us, me, Robby, and Noah. And as soon as that boat's out in the channel, we can hear them moving in close. And they got so close to us at one point, we all 3 had our weapons drawn and were standing like knee deep in the water. We were backed out into the lake trying to put distance. And we had kind of a standoff like that. We could hear rocks being thrown. We're hearing growls. We're getting a lot of activity around us. So finally, Richard makes it back, and while we're waiting for Richard, I tell Robby, I said, when Richard comes back, I want you and Noah on that next boat out. I said, this whole thing was my harebrained idea. I'll be the last set of boots on the ground. And he starts arguing with me. He's like, oh, hell no, your wife will kill me if I let you stay by yourself. I'm like, look, dude, I planned this thing. I'm the moron that kicked this off. Get Noah the hell out of here. Because my wife had already told us, I don't care what happens to you 2 morons. You bring my baby home.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when Richard comes puttering back up to the boat ramp, Robby asks him. He says, can you get all 3 of us on here? I don't want to risk leaving one. And Richard's like, we're gonna have to go slow. It's gonna take us a lot longer to get back, but yeah, we'll make it work with 3. So we all 3 get on the boat, and as soon as we're all 3 on the boat and back out into the channel, Richard had a super bright spotlight plugged in on the boat, and we cranked that thing up and light up the shore. And all around where we had just been standing in the water was about a dozen sets of eye shine at about 10 feet off the ground.
It.
No,
we were completely surrounded and didn't know it.
Oh my God, that's terrifying.
Had he not got back when he did, it might have ended much differently. And had we left one person there, whether it be me or Robby, I don't think the one person would have been there when we got back.
Torn in half like a deer.
Yeah.
Or just gone.
Oh, listen, next time you guys get in that situation, put the one person on the boat and leave 2 people, and then the 2 people go back.
We didn't think of that at the time.
Oh, look at you, Jeni.
No,
with
I
your
mean,
word
the riddle of the
problems.
socks and the wheat and the chicken, like, that pops in the brain. But, oh my god, so you guys going
Jeni,
back
when the first
soon?
time I thought of that was about 5 seconds before you said it, I'm sitting there thinking, why didn't we just put Noah on the boat and me and DA both? That literally is the first time that thought crossed my mind, was like 5 seconds before you said that.
After we were all out and back to the cars, Wyatt and Richard took the boat over to the boat ramp where they were parked. And, got the boat trailer, went to get the truck to back down there for the boat trailer. And in the thick gravel next to their vehicle was a 17-inch track. In the gravel.
Stop.
Oof.
Yeah, we got pictures of it. I'll be happy to send you all pictures.
Yes.
Oh my god, yeah, we've got to see this stuff. This is fantastic. And when you go back and
well, we're going back.
Yeah, oh yeah, no.
Go.
Yeah, I kind of want to go too.
Yeah.
We've got recordable FLIR now. We've got a way to record the parabolic. Yeah, this time we're going to be recording a bunch of data. And we've gotten a couple other areas that we want to get into that sound like they're even more active.
Do you mind having a couple of dum-dums tagging along that can't really take care of themselves?
I can take care of myself.
I can't. I cannot.
I can.
No.
He has me along all the time. I don't think he's worried about dum-dums.
If you two find yourselves,
we want to go.
If y'all find yourself down here in Missouri, yeah, we can take you to some spots that'll definitely make a believer out of you.
Hey, I go through briefly, but I go through Illinois when I'm coming to see him. So y'all can
you can just go through the very end of Illinois, though.
Yeah,
y'all just fall in behind me and follow me on the Missouri.
Yeah, we don't believe at all, so you have to convince us.
Obviously, yeah, totally don't believe.
Now, what y'all need to do is come to the that conference in Ohio.
Which one?
The Spirit of the Forest, because DA and I are both.
Oh, that's right.
I'm teaching a tracking class. He's gonna help me with it, but I've heard there's some places probably close to where we're gonna be that we might could do some night investigations.
Tell us when and where that is, and also we need to wrap up. So tell us about everything else you want to tell us about.
Yeah.
Go ahead, DA.
Spirit of the Forest. What weekend is it in July?
No, it's in October.
No, October. That's right. Is it like the 23rd and 24th? I think it is.
24th and 25th, maybe. We do this every time. One of us will say one.
Just search Spirit of the Forest Bigfoot. Yeah, Bigfoot Festival OH.com is the website, but you can just Google search Spirit of the Forest Ohio Bigfoot Festival. It'll come up.
It's at the Mercer County Fairgrounds.
It's going to be pretty big this year. It's going to be awesome. But we'll be both there. I'll be speaking at another convention here in Missouri, also in October, but I think it's like the second week of October. It's a different weekend. And that one's called the Ozark Mountain Bigfoot Festival. And that one will be here in Springfield, Missouri. But you can find all of my books, at daroberts.net. I have 35 currently in print. They're all available in Kindle, print, and in audio. Or you can find them all on Amazon as well. You can find us, me and this idiot over here. You can find more of us on the Nightmare Hunter podcast on Wednesdays and Saturday nights at 8 p.m. Central. And we talk about all kinds of crazy crap.
As we can attest to, it's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
We really
we
enjoyed our time over there, and I had a great time tonight. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
You can find my books on Amazon as well, and DA actually is working on a website, the nightmarehunters.com, I think.
Nightmarehunter.com.
Nightmarehunter.com, and once that's done, that'll be like a one-stop shop where you could get his books, my books, link to Dark Angel Medical, Sigwo Arms, all our affiliates and things like that. So look for that to be coming pretty soon.
Fantastic.
Amazing.
I think we need to have you back because I really wanted to hear about the Piri Reese map, and we didn't even touch on it.
Yeah, and but you guys had an episode recently, so go check them out and listen to it so that you can get the backstory, and then when you guys come back, we can jump from that point.
Yeah,
sounds good.
Again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Everybody else, Hey, if you want to talk to us, you can email us or go to our website, monstersloungepodcast.com. You can find our merch and our email and all of our links, all the other stuff. So until next time, thanks for visiting the Monsters Lounge.